One, we're live and finishing your workout though.
Yeah.
Oh,
let me just put. Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
As
10,000.
Welcome to another edition of the LonelyFans podcast, y'all. You are joined by your usual suspects. I'm your host, Carson Daly. We have a fun guy and Albie. And before we start today's talk, we're going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, so spoiler alert. I do want you all to check out the chat. Be sure to check out our friend's debut on Twitch tonight. It's twitch.tv/Ubes. You can see her streaming there, and then you also see a replay if you can't catch it because you're watching ours, which I would understand. But anyways, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man No Way Home and our thoughts on it. This is just our LonelyFans podcast thoughts on it. We will have a stacked cast at some point talking more in depth, but this one's kind of just our thoughts, y'all. But who wants to kick us off? In your opinion, what did you think of the movie?
I'll do it. To describe this and to summarize it the best way I can.
Yes.
For something that was in risk of being pretty gimmicky, like there was a huge risk of it pretty gimmicky. I think that the things that were to be gimmicky worked a lot better. And it was very well balanced with like the execution of how some of these characters were introduced and how it fit into the storyline, but also well done, well choreographed Spider-Man fight scenes. And probably the most important of all, really got heavy on the dramatic side of it with all the emotions and everything. So yeah.
So they successfully gave us an origin story 3 movies long. I agree with some other YouTubers on that. Did it well, right? They captured the attention. They brought together the Sonyverse and the MCU. Can't argue with that. Results speak for themselves. We saw applause in the theater for parts. I look back, I was like, they're clapping about that? That sells? Okay. Yeah. So they did what they're supposed to do with a friendly neighborhood box office making money Spider-Man. So far, they did it again. This is the second trilogy for Spider-Man? Yeah.
Yeah, because Garfield, unfortunately.
Because Amazing was only 2.
Yeah. And shout out to our good friend Ubes.
Yes.
Twitching, streaming tonight.
Yes. Make sure y'all check that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I want to keep it.
I guess, to keep mine kind of like short, I had the same concerns as Albie. Is like, I hope it wasn't too dependent on cameos to carry the film. And I think the main thing I took away, I mean, I was happy to finally see Andrew Garfield get another shot. And the reason why is because I know he was very passionate about that role. And the way that they butchered the second movie so bad to the point where he didn't want to do it anymore, that it's kind of good to see him kind of have his redemption, in my opinion. Same with Jamie Foxx, because I think his version of Electro in that movie was god-awful. So it's cool to see some of these characters not only get a second chance, but get a second chance and actually doing it right. And I think this is the first time I'm actually seeing Tom Holland as Peter Parker and as like Spider-Man. Wow. So I think they did a good job, like you mentioned. It's an origin story that went 3 films long, but we're finally seeing Peter Parker as his own character. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Young Jin, who says, Andrew Garfield, best Spider-Man, don't at me. I'm with you at that, man.
So I feel like I should mention, because I would always give you a hard time when you go like, oh, Andrew Garfield's the best. And I'm like, no. I mean, I like to think I never hated him, but I would never say him as the best.
Is he not?
I too was glad that he had a decent, not necessarily a send-up, but a decent, what's the word? He was utilized very well, like in the movie when they introduced him. If there's something I noticed when the 3 Peter Parkers were together, he was probably he seemed like the most tech savvy out of all of them. One, maybe visual-wise, he was wearing the lab coat. Two, he was putting his input on most of the tech. And three, even though I love Tom Holland, but compared to Tom Holland's version, he didn't have like, Tony Stark as like, big support. So
the internship program, yeah.
the internship program. So
Yeah.
that'll give him to that. And then there were other things they did later in the movie that was, that was utilized well. I don't know if I want to get into that now, but it's
I guess to piggyback off that, it's good to see that they're finally showcasing Tom Holland or Peter Parker as actually, because he's a smart dude, and I think a lot of his brilliance got taken away in the first two movies because it's like, oh, he's got Edith. It was Stark Tech. He had his homemade suit in the first one, but not really. Then he had, Stark's suit in the first one too. But he actually is a genius. He created his own web shooter, just like Andrew Garfield did. So it was cool to see them actually showcase like Peter Parker as an actual genius. Like he is a genius.
Yeah. That's how he defeated Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he was using math.
Yeah. He was like, what's even better than magic? Math. And it was like, I was like, oh, that was like super amusing. I sure as hell don't know math, but
Magical.
The basic concept.
You're supposed to show math and science beats magic.
We can talk about that one day. We can do math versus science versus magic. If they were characters, we'll have sides. If y'all want to, we'll put them in groups, pick sides, and then have a debate. Marvel, DC, Image, doesn't matter. Dark Horse, I don't care.
Or you can have science and magic in one.
I come from a place where they're one and the same.
Well, in this conversation, they won't be.
I
But what MCU's trying to do, that kind of made me fanboy, kind of bitter, because I was like, wait a minute, how much are they deviating from 616?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It sells, right? So it doesn't matter.
I do want to hear your thoughts on the villains that came back, and are some villains better than others? And I think that's an easy yes, in my opinion. But I'll let you guys go ahead and start this off because go ahead.
Fun guy, you start this time.
Cool. We can all agree that Lizard was completely underutilized, and Doc Connor was completely underutilized. He was just there for a couple one-liners.
I would say if there was one person that was a little bit more, maybe not underutilized, but definitely a tad bit lackluster, almost in the same sense, was a Sandman.
Yeah.
Mostly because Thomas Hayden Church, he's a very talented actor, but that definitely looked like mostly voice work, and I wouldn't be surprised. I could be wrong, but when he did turn into human form, that looked like a CGI version of him, and and honestly, out of everyone in there, he seemed like to have the less drive out of anyone. So,
he kind of was, because he's just like, I want to go home and see my daughter. He does.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, look, guys, abilities, creation, however we got here, I'm trying to get in line to go see my daughter. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In hindsight, they should have just brought back Topher Grace's Venom and just found some way to redeem him. I would have been mad at that, since we got an Electro redemption, so I'm fine. But they want to save Venom for a big thing. So
yes.
Yeah. I will say who I thought really outshined more than I thought he would, and maybe part of this was just how things are marketed and stuff. But Willem Dafoe, from a story standpoint, they definitely utilize him the most by really diving into how, he's very what's the word? He's two people, and there's the struggle between that. So they kind of delved into that, but also from a fighting standpoint, they really I think before this, I always thought Willem Dafoe Green Element, oh, he's on the glider and stuff, and that's really all there is to it. But then they showed him how he was from a strength perspective. There was a really cool fight scene in the apartment building where he was hand-to-hand combat, with Peter Parker or Spider-Man, and I thought that was really cool. And one of the best images is when at the very end, after all that pent up rage of what Goblin did. They were on the big version of Captain America Shield and Statue of Liberty, like really duking it out, and I thought that was one of the like most greatest Spider-Man fight scenes I've ever seen, in my opinion.
Or he's just like beating the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, like just like you really like felt it. Yeah.
That's not nice, yeah. You believe they gave him a creepy mask in the first movies? That's,
hey.
Yeah, Dafoe needs no mask. He needs no mask.
Don't talk about Dennis Leary like that, dude. That's
Dennis Leary.
You stole my line.
Oh, yeah. I nudged him in the movies. I was like, dude, it's Dennis Leary.
Because even Dennis Leary would say he gets confused with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, I think he definitely outshined all the other villains. Yeah. He's got that ability to and I think Bill Murray has this too, where you can disassociate that the actor themselves and just the character, like playing an asshole. Like I really hated the Green Goblin in that movie.
Yeah.
So like when Peter Parker's just beating the shit out of him, I'm like, yeah, man, keep pounding some more.
But then, Tobey Maguire had to come in and be, probably the most wise out of all of them. So
I would say second to him though is probably Electro, because I don't really count Doc Ock as like a villain in this movie. His majority of time it's just kind of like a neutral character.
Yeah, that's true.
But
he did well.
I love Jamie Foxx, and I love that they addressed his comb over. It's
they addressed a lot of things wrong with him, so I think it's good that I think there's a reason why they almost announced Jamie Foxx first as a villain in the cast when they were doing this. And
how about the line of the movie? He was like, "I thought you were black."
He said, "There's got to be a black Spider-Man somewhere, right?" They did that on purpose to let Sony's like, "Hey, Miles Morales is going to show up. Here's proof."
Yeah, you get it. Because
I was this close in thinking, because we already brought in the live action Spider-Man, and I kept thinking about that line in the trailer that we kept seeing in the trailer where Doctor Strange was like, they're coming in and I can't stop them. So I went then who is it? It ended up not being anything specific, which is fine. But I was wondering if we were going to see a plethora of all these different other multiverses. So I thought for a second we'll get a glimpse of Miles Morales, but it didn't. I'm not complaining too much, but it would have been interesting if they use it.
I saw glimpses of people like you guys did too, the silhouettes of certain villains.
True. I saw that, and we were in the theater. I couldn't pause and who is that? So maybe I'll try to watch it 5 more times.
Could you pause the projector, please?
Could you stop that real quick?
Hey, can you hold my pop? Can you go? I'm going to talk to the projectionist right now. Excuse me, sorry.
So you guys were on topic with it. I totally thought something else. I was like, oh, they're going to show Wolverine.
No way. No way.
No, I even thought stuff like that. We're going to get something way out there, Wolverine, or since we were seeing the purple silhouettes, I go, oh, Loki's going to show up or something. I thought they were going to go that direct into other MCU movies, but
or John Bernthal coming through.
Or John Bernthal, sure. Well, actually, speaking of, how
you call Spider-Man.
Look, I was happy for the 1-minute cameo of it's my director tell, but this is Daredevil.
It is.
Charlie Cox Daredevil.
Yeah.
A lot of sculpting went into work for that one.
Right? Yeah. Look at the details of it. Now, I liked it because as a Funko Pop, this to me made the most sense. So I got it. And I did like that, but I like that they were able to fit him in for legal advice. And maybe that one cool scene where a brick gets thrown and he catches it, right away. And he goes how do you do that? And he goes I'm a really good lawyer. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
Just a quick side note. Yeah, so Willem Dafoe, the Tony Leung of the MCU, stole the show every scene.
Oh, so I didn't want Tony Leung's character to die. He was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
He killed it. I was like, you need your own movie.
Well, you never know.
He's set to return to do something, I think, in the future.
Is he?
Yeah.
I think he mentioned it, yeah. Unless he wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to.
They can find some. I wouldn't be surprised they'll find some ways. That's my same process as like Eric Killmonger. Who knows? They might find some way.
Killmonger.
Or whenever they decide to
Star
do
of the movie.
But yeah, watch him like I don't know. 10 years later, there's a different like Shang-Chi movie, so they do a multiverse version of that. Or 10 years later, they do a different Black Panther movie and multiverse.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't know how long they can keep using multiverse, but while that is sort of the topic at hand ever since I don't know ever since maybe Loki, then let's go
With
with
a multiverse or multiverse, sorry.
multiverse.
I don't know. You could argue
It's a multiverse. It's a multiverse.
They kind of like hinted at it in Spider-Man Far From Home when the trailer when he met Quentin Beck, he's like, oh my god, there's a multiverse.
Right.
Really like a storyline. So it's like, remember they try to throw people off. It's like, oh wow, we're gonna see the multiverse in this movie.
That's true. I totally forgot about that. And then it was a 180, and he was just a disgruntled Stark employee.
Which makes me sad, but Mysterio, I've liked. He's not really utilized to his full potential. I think Ultimate did it the best when he used his counterpart in Ultimate, which is actually a robot operating that from the 616 universe. I need to read that storyline.
Really?
It really shows though, like how much he like really destroyed Peter Parker.
He barfed on him.
Yeah, dude. The severity of what him like revealing who his identity is caused them to go to Doctor Strange, caused the multiverse to open up.
Oh yeah.
His impact.
Yeah. In the end, he's still a kid. They're like, yeah, he's a senior in high school, but that's a kid. So all the stuff he has to go through, especially I liked how like the big focus was on these ideas of all of them going to MIT at the same time, and that's such a high school kid thing to worry about. Well,
we can start over.
Yeah. Hey, if there's anything to learn from a line in Mad Men, there's no such thing as starting over, a fresh start. Lives always carry over.
John Hammond.
No, surprisingly, no. It's Henry Francis. It's a guy that ends up marrying. It's Betty Draper's next husband. Yeah, not my favorite character, but he had one of the most lines that stuck over. But back to Spider-Man.
Back to Spider-Man.
But no, when Peter Parker said we can have a fresh start, that line came to my head. There is no such thing as a fresh start. Lies carry over. And well, actually, honestly, that kind of what shows in the end too. Everyone's forgotten about him, but it's definitely not a fresh start for him because he still has to keep all those memories. So yeah.
I guess before we jump on to the next, I was to kind of put a bow on the villains aspect of it. So I guess we're all in agreement that Green Goblin was like the top villain in this, even though it's like there wasn't a definitive one. I would say he probably is.
Yeah.
He was two people.
Yeah.
Jamie had some of the best lines. Him and Dafoe were on the same page. With the one-liners, I think Jamie killed it.
Yeah.
The evil philosophy.
Yeah. And then it's kind of sad because when you think about it, Lizard and Sandman are just kind of afterthoughts in this whole.
If we go line,
yeah.
That was
if we go line for line.
Yeah, but that was the part I was like saying earlier, how somebody was going to be borderline gimmicky, and that's what suffers, that you have too many villains, and it's hard to like execute that very well all at once. So maybe that was a bit of a struggle where not every single villain was able to shine. But what's better than nothing is that we at least had 2 or 3 really good villains out of the 5.
I say release the No Way Home cut. Give us all 5 hours of deleted.
Yes. Why not? I would. You know what? That should be a Disney Plus or at least a Blu-ray exclusive. Give us a director's cut. Always give us a director's cut. Always.
For movies like this, Infinity War, Endgame, I would always prefer the cut, like their version instead of the theatrical.
Oh, yeah. Because there's a lot of stuff they have to cut out. There's a theatrical version.
Yeah,
I'd rather know what's really going on than to get the popcorn and candy or soda version.
Now, I do want to mention we're going to jump in the next topic. Is I did say that Aunt May was going to die.
You did.
You did? Okay, sorry. I knew you said you knew someone was going to die. I for some reason I thought you said it was going to be Mary Jane or something.
Oh wait, did I say Mary Jane? I don't know. We gotta.
I could be totally wrong. Maybe because I
Maybe.
assumed we talked more that Mary Jane was going to die because that's how they tease it in the trailer. She's falling down the same way Gwen Stacy did, and we go like,
Oh no, my
I
bad.
was,
Most trailers are a lie.
I
Kind of a behind the scenes for you guys and watching just on the docket. I thought it said that I did predict Aunt May was going to die, but it was a major character. Sorry.
yeah.
I misread it.
But I think the Aunt May thing, I totally didn't think about it, and when it happened pretty brutally too.
Yeah. It made sense though, because how else was Peter going to get the line? You notice all the other movies, he never got the line.
Yeah.
We assumed he got it off camera, but this last origin movie showed with great power comes great money.
Yeah, I didn't think they're going to bring the line back. I thought we were one and done with the line, and then they bring it back, and I didn't think the line. I didn't think.
They brought it back twice with him and.
Sure.
Yeah.
When we'll talk, but I thought it was funny how that line, in some ways, I think 95% of it is supposed to inspire you, but there's a 5% where you're like, oh shit, someone's gonna die.
Yep.
And
there's another. Oh, go ahead. But there's another character, another character. You already know who the character is. That Marvel spun that line. It was a Marvel Max issue. The Hood. Parker Robbins. I think that's his name. Google it. I probably messed it up. With great power comes great opportunity.
You're right. It's Parker Robbins. I just picked up the Hood figure.
Nice.
Monday deal. Yeah, it was Parker.
2 points for Jay. The guy. A fun guy. With great power comes great opportunity. Not great responsibility. Parker Robbins is cooler than Spider-Man. Sorry. The audience just flames me for that.
Parker Robbins. I feel like I don't know. I feel like at some point they had to let someone in his life go. That's why I thought it would be MJ, because there's never any mention of his Uncle Ben in any of the movies. I understand why, but there was never any mention. So I'm like, at some point he's going to have like a tragedy in his personal life, and I didn't think it was going to be Tony Stark. I thought it was going to be MJ, and that's how we see Peter. But it ended up being his aunt, and I like that version of it. Honestly, I like the way they put it out.
Aunt May made more sense.
The execution was just cruel. Like she pretty much died the same way. Well, she pretty much sort of died similar to how Green Goblin died in the Tobey Maguire version by that glider. But they fooled you for a bit because she did get up, and we're like, that's great. Okay, everything's fine right now. But instead, she's she was really taking her time, dying. But you utilize that time to say great power comes great responsibility. Again.
She died, and it wasn't from a villain from that universe, man. He was from
Nope.
And of course, she had to die in a way where Peter Parker felt responsible for it.
Correct.
Was really heavy, but it really helped to have. It pretty much brought the biggest reason to bring Peter Parkers together, not Spider-Man, but the Peter Parkers.
Together,
where they were all talking on the roof and discussing that kind of weight that they had to deal with, and it was and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield definitely didn't phone it in. You really felt it when they were talking about their own tragedies and the stuff that Tom Holland, Peter Parker has to go through. I thought that was one of the best things in the movie.
The seasoned age Toby dug it.
Wow.
Yeah. The youth pastor look, dug it.
Yeah, dug it.
It made me miss Tobey Maguire more because I remember I liked his first two Spider-Man movies, but I don't think I ever felt like the need to really revisit them. But then after seeing this and seeing Tobey Maguire giving a good performance, I remember what made those Spider-Man movies successful.
Fly. Shazam.
You know who also because we're talking about the scene when his aunt died. I remember like the military or they came in and I was like, why are they shooting at Spider-Man? It's all because of this asshole right here.
J.
I
Jonah
really wanted them all to like kick his ass. Just give him one punch to the face, man.
Or maybe he could have died. They already have a J. Jonah Jameson in one universe, so maybe he could have died.
Yeah, they could have sacrificed him.
But no. Actually, I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't. Maybe I missed, but there wasn't a mention how he looks a lot like the J. Jonah Jameson in Tobey Maguire's version, just bald.
Love it. Yeah, just bald. It's the same. It's the same Jameson. Maybe he'll be able to get Matt Gargan to be Scorpion.
Who's that? Oh,
because remember that's who was in the clip. If you look at they're about to come through, you see the silhouette for Matt Gargan Scorpion.
But didn't in Homecoming, wasn't that one guy, he had the scorpion tattoos and he's supposed to be Scorpion? Oh, yeah. That's what they
I think so.
So did any of you guys think anybody else was going to die? Because I personally thought it was going to be MJ.
I thought Ned was going to be injured if I follow the YouTubers. I thought that I still think Ned might become a villain. I still agree with some YouTubers on that.
You think so?
If he doesn't? I mean, the line, I will not betray you.
So I was listening to, shout out to ACBA podcast. I was listening to them and I kind of agreed with one of them. They said, I know, comic books say that Ned turns into a hobgoblin, but
he might not.
It would be nice if this version of Ned didn't, because I feel like it just doesn't suit him. You know what I mean?
No.
Correct. But he lost his memory, so now they can do whatever they want.
That's true.
Lost his memory of Peter. Well, yeah, actually.
Of Peter Parker, which is all. So the promise, he doesn't remember it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. They can be different. The MCU is not the comic books, but technically they can go, oh yeah, this Ned promised that, but with this, he doesn't know who Peter is. He doesn't know he made the promise. So did it technically happen? I zoom into my eye on the camera.
Oh, do it again. Zoom back out and zoom back in.
So technically,
yeah. Well, this is where I want us to go after this. I think I want to have like the thoughts on the big three reuniting next. I thought it was not uniting. Sorry, big three uniting. That was fun. I didn't expect it to be Ned. Since we're on the topic of Ned, I didn't expect Ned to be the one that was going to actually get the world.
That was really good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
And I also didn't expect them to maybe come so early into the film. I really thought they were if they were going to show up, it was going to be at the very end.
Yeah,
that they were going to show up in their spider costumes, and then there we go. But this kind of pertains whatever what they wanted to do is not. It was the focus wasn't necessarily just reuniting Spider-Man. It was not reuniting. Sorry, I'm not
word too.
Okay, not just bring together Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man, but bring together Peter Parker. That was like the first thing they needed to do, and I like that they took the time to do that. So from the scene on the roof, but also the scene in the lab,
the scene in his grandma's house.
Yep.
Which, by the way, it's nice to be the only one in the theater that understood what his grandma was saying before he then translated it.
I sat
in Tagalog.
Yeah, you laughed. You laughed before everyone did. It was like it was pretty much like, and then like 5 seconds later, the entire theater laughed. Ned says the line, and the entire theater laughs.
He said, "My Lola wants you to grab
the cowboys."
She's the best, man. Yeah. She became my favorite character in the movie. She's like, okay, superheroes exist. My son's doing magic. Hey, grab that cobweb.
I didn't realize it was the other Spider-Man. I didn't realize it was Andrew Garfield first because I was like, oh, it's Peter. It's in a dark alley. Then you looked at me like, what? And I was like, oh my God, it's Andrew Garfield.
I think as someone in the theater gasped, and I was like, why? What? Yes, that's, oh. Like, okay, I see what they're doing. Right.
So is it okay for them to appear on the red carpet now, or are they still trying to hide that?
I wish they would.
Yeah.
Worst kept secret in Hollywood. I'm saying
Honestly,
that right now. Worst kept Marvel
I'm
secret in Hollywood.
So bad.
I'm surprised I haven't seen spoilers on social media yet. You know, usually I see spoilers. I've seen spoilers from Shang-Chi. I've seen spoilers from Endgame. Surprisingly, I didn't see spoilers for
The entire day on Thursday.
I did.
You
I
did?
did. I did.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, man.
That's okay. I already knew they'd be in the movie, and I didn't want to spoil it for anybody else. I said, "Oh, no spoilers for anybody. I have an idea of how they come in."
I mean, I figured they were going to be in the movie because, like, with all the speculation that's happening, Sony and MCU almost had to do it, right?
Yeah.
Even if they weren't planning to originally, the fact that the speculation was created, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, in panic mode, they would try to put something together at the last minute, but it looks like they didn't because it was kind of like them coming together was kind of like deep into the story, necessary for like the third act. So, yeah. Well
I knew. It's one of those things. Is like you want to see it to believe it. I knew they were going to have a scene when the trailer, when Tom Holland's Spider-Man was on the Statue of Liberty by himself. I was like, oh, that's the money shot where they're all going to pose together.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they did.
It was a good money shot. In fact, this is where you needed the Spider-Man together. So they had their Peter Parker scenes, like talking about, you know, what they have to do, like dealing with all the tragedy they have to go through, and in the lab, and then even the conversation about the villains they fought. I thought it was funny.
That was
but
good.
then they had to sync as Spider-Man, which I liked in the first one. It was like a mess. They weren't like, you know, syncing very well. They're all doing their own thing because they were used to. But then, like, you know, Tom Holland Spider-Man was pretty much, okay, I know how to work in a team. I work with the Avengers.
The Avengers?
That's
cool. What's that?
What's that? And then, but anyways, then they came up with a plan, and they
part of a band.
One of the coolest things. Yeah,
that's cool.
I don't like how Andrew Garfield was. What is he, Spider-Man 3 or Peter 3? I didn't like how he's third on that pecking order. Should have been number
I know. Tom Holland's not number one.
I admit maybe that was a bit too on the nose. I'll admit that was a bit too on the nose. Like, this is not a place to actually rank it and stuff. But
that was Disney showing jabs.
Shout out to our boy Gonk Prime's back.
Gonk is back. What's good?
As usual. Nice for you to join us talking about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man
No Way Home.
Well, would you guys agree that each of the Spider-Man, they had their, you know, they had their chance to shine. They had like their own like cool moments and stuff.
Yeah. In terms of pacing, I think they did a really good job of allowing them to have their own time in the spotlight. The only thing I wish they would have done differently, it was cool that they were all webbing together. I wish we would have seen them individually webbing, like swinging around. A lot going on. I was just like, oh, which one's which? Which one's which? It's like I wish they would have each had their own time to swing around.
Sure, I agree with that. Yeah, that would have been cool. More one-on-one things.
But also, what was I going to say?
Hey, didn't we predict? Yeah, sorry.
Oh, good.
No, you go. Go ahead, okay.
Yeah. So Tom Holland's Spider-Man is an unfair advantage of the hero department. These other two Spider-Men had to solo in New York. Right, no superhero help. Tom Holland had more exposure, but he also had lots of help from other tech-oriented superheroes and non-tech. I mean, you know, so there's that. I just want to add that in
there. Thanks, Gonk. He said, following the leaks and all of that, my favorite cameo was Daredevil's Matt Murdock there. So let me ask you.
Yeah, that was the best cameo in the movie.
Gonk, did you watch it yet, or? So you don't care if you get like spoilers ahead of time, right? You want to know what's going on before you watch it, or because for me, I can't imagine watching it knowing what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But yeah. Oh, he said I watched it the day it came out. Okay, cool.
Yes.
You know about the leaks beforehand? Mm-hmm. Because it's what's his name? John Campea leaked those photos, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's photoshopped." I was like, "That's not photoshopped."
We knew it. We also knew. I watched it's possible they could have edited that video, but I was like, I guarantee this is real, and it was.
It was, yeah. There was no way that was. He said,
"It's possible, but it would take a lot of work to make that fake.
Was he saying yes that you like knowing the plot beforehand?
Maybe.
I don't know. I always feel like there's fun in speculation. And then when you actually watch the movie, it's totally something else.
Sometimes
I agree with
that is fun.
that part. Most part, I would prefer what Pac Photo said. There are probably selected times where I feel like it's more about the journey than the destination. So even though I know where it's going to end, if it's executed well, that's fine too. But I mean, something like this, I wanted to be surprised with. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, so I misunderstood. The leaks is what I was saying yes to. Oh, okay, so you knew about the leaks prior to. Okay, I think we all did, but it was one of those things where it's
did.
It could have been fun.
Yeah, I tried to ignore it. I went like, okay. But
I did not look at my what's that thing called on Instagram when you go in the search? It's like the feed of like random stuff. I don't know what that's called, but I didn't.
There's
I did not
feed or stories or
I did not look at that entire day. I was like, oh, I'm gonna swipe it over.
But, no, I think that's how I had parts of Endgame spoiled for me. So I tried to avoid it this time around. But like I said with Endgame, at least what I saw that was spoiled for me was like sort of like the destination. Like, okay, so I know they all come back, but at least I didn't see how it was executed. Yeah. So at least and for Spider-Man, even though I figured they were going to show up, at least I had no idea how they were going to actually bring him in, and how they did it was like pretty cool.
I mean, trailers are spoilers anyway. How long our trailers are now, except they change up. You see what they change.
True.
The trailers are never 100%. They change the dialogue. They can change scenes.
And it's
trailers.
And it's the fake trailer, like the Infinity War one. I love that.
Real quick, when we were talking about the trailer, when we were together, we talked about the trailer and they were seeing that MJ was falling. Didn't we all say it's possible? Hey, because it looks like Gwen Stacy falling, maybe it's Andrew Garfield that's going to.
I remember y'all
save
saying
her,
that, and he did.
That's what happened. And the
a
look
good
on
choice.
Andrew Garfield's face when he succeeded.
I did it.
That's okay. So before we jump into our last topic, I think I am biased to Andrew Garfield's Spider, but
really,
I thought, yeah, you think I do like that kind of like it's not closure, but kind of redemption when he saved MJ, because oh man, you could see it in his face when he saves her. I know it's kind of like a comedic moment, like a kind of laughing moment, but you can actually.
But it's serious.
Yeah. Honestly, I for me it was definitely more on the dramatic side than comedic side, because like I was convinced that his face that he was really like super like relieved that what he was able to do.
The acting was good.
Yeah,
very good.
I would say Tobey Maguire is everyone's favorite. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I think
he?
Well, the consensus. I would say Andrew Garfield's the best actor out of the three of them. He's got more range, but his Spider-Man movies were a little bit on the underwhelming side.
That's okay.
Yeah. But you guys cool if we go ahead and jump in our last bit before we sign off?
No problem.
Real quick, Gonk said, is it just me, or when he was doing the final swing, the new suit is amazing. I need that for my Marvel Legends doing.
Actually, yeah.
Where the Hulk. Okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, I wish we got a closer look at that suit before we jump into like what's going to happen next. That is such a classic suit. I was like, finally, he's wearing the blue and red outfit. Like he had that in Homecoming, but it wasn't like a true one. Like this one, it was still Stark Tech.
Yeah,
it's good to see that he doesn't have a Stark Tech. It's just him in a suit. And maybe you guys can answer this for me. Was it because all his stuff was confiscated? That's why he doesn't have the Iron Spider suit or the nanotech stuff?
Now, where'd the fabricator go in the building?
That's what I don't know. Was it blown up? No, because when.
Might have. Or maybe.
Well, the arc reactor was taken out of it, right?
Yeah.
He could also build it again because all he needs is the blueprints.
He could, but
Peter's a technical, physics, and a chemistry genius. Yeah. I think physics and chemistry, engineering, physics, and chemistry. I mean, it
Here's
makes
my
sense, those
quick-
three.
Here's
And
my
Matt.
quick thought. I thought
Stan.
it was more like a choice. Like he was really the fact that he has to pretty much disassociate himself pretty much with the world like Spider-Man does. He was pretty much really trying to start from the ground up and try to be really low key. So that's why we go from like all that tech down to a sewing machine in a dingy ass apartment. And honestly, yeah.
That
And I
might
thought
be
that
it.
was a really effective way to end that movie, like going from really, it's like, oh, he's really trying to start from the ground up now, which makes me excited for more Spider-Man movies with him because maybe we'll
Through
see him
Sony.
Right. Well, MCU too.
They're doing both.
Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal, they're all going to be like involved. They're all developing Spider-Man 4. So
Okay, so here's the thing I want to ask. And so I guess this is a good segue in the.
yeah.
You know, 'cause the last topic is like, what do we think about the future? But I do want to shout out Gonk says, and Kingpin and Hawkeye. Okay, so he thinks that's where the finale is going to happen. What if you just see Spider-Man swing by? It would be the most rad shit if that happened, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. And happy he's not any Iron Man crap, but I hope he has moving eyes still. I don't think he's going to have the moving eyes anymore, man. I think that was. No is the reason why I'm watching Daredevil. Good. I haven't, honestly, I should probably go back and I've watched like a few episodes, and maybe I should watch Daredevil, like the entirety of it, because I finished Punisher last week. But
I can speak for the first 2 seasons of Daredevil. It's really good. Matt Murdock, the Charlie Cox is as good as Matt Murdock, and I mean, I guess we might as well talk about. You all watched the latest episode of Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Level 5. Episode 5.
And the cool thing about Daredevil and Punisher and the Defenders, Fun Guy, what are they all? They're all what level?
Street level.
Yeah. Speaking of that, shout out to Luke Cage.
That series is good as well. Jessica Jones season 1, Luke Cage season 1.
Yeah.
Iron Fist season 2.
Was it?
They
good?
got better.
Tell me it was bad.
Season two was better than season 1.
Okay.
Maybe, but they were both. I'm not a fan of Iron Fist. So Jessica Jones season 1
was
Daredevil season 2 and Luke Cage season 1 are the best from that.
Punisher was good in season.
I gotta watch Punisher.
1.
Season 1, he just
season like his best portrayal was in the Daredevil show, but the Punisher show was still
season
good.
2.
Yeah. The Punisher show was still so it was like season 1. His origin in Daredevil, can't beat that. Season 2 of Punisher was actually solid. I don't want to spoil it for you,
but there has to be a reason because of the timing of this. So we saw the same week they showed Kingpin in Hawkeye. Like even though it was just a photo, they showed Kingpin in Hawkeye.
Christmas season.
Yeah, the Wilson Fisk. And then we see Charlie Cox in Spider-Man. So clearly they've already have like plans in the running for these crossovers to happen. So
if they had planned this to release at the same time as Hawkeye, that'd probably be the best. I mean, then again, it is Marvel, so I shouldn't be surprised, but that's pretty freaking impressive if they did that to line up with Wilson Fisk.
Right.
Said, I'm hoping Marvel always has to put a character in Spider-Man, maybe a Spider-Man and Deadpool crossover. I'm waiting a while for that crossover, man. It's gonna be
it would be Deadpool 3 isn't out yet. So now that he's part of the MCU, what do you say? They should keep up that.
I agree with that.
So Iron Fist is not good as it was. There was a lot of potential, right?
Oh, I agree.
The second season did redeem the first season, but the problem with the first season was pacing, longevity for some of the scenes. If I'm being fair as possible, right?
Writing.
Because
crappiest dialogue I've ever heard.
Yeah, the dialogue got bad, and the choreography got better towards the end of season 1. It was much better in season 2. They fixed that shit. Because I'm being as fair as possible, right? Season 2, they fixed a lot of problems.
Sorry.
And I have no problem that he's white. He said it's some BS. Like, because remember, I had no problem he was white because Danny Rand is white.
Mhm.
They kept true to the character. He's blonde, blue-eyed, in the Rand Corporation.
Yeah.
That's not false. If they would have changed his,
Mhm.
making him poor and not white would have changed the character completely. Like, wait a minute.
Okay,
Where's
my
the
problem
Rand
wasn't that.
Corporation?
My problem was just that his acting was blah, and then I found out later, and it makes sense that he wasn't really committed to like the training, to
He
like
was
the
not.
fight choreography. And I go, like, you're trying to like play a top level martial artist, and you don't want to like put in the training. Come on, man, have some commitment.
Come on. Yeah, come on,
You
man.
know, not everyone.
Put in movies with Iron Man. How do I do?
I don't like tech a lot. So can I just be like a wooden Iron Man instead? Like low budget, low tech Iron Man? RDJ says that. Like, come on. I don't like wearing this suit.
I'm hoping Shang-Chi 2 could be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Immortal Iron Fist.
It would be good because if they put Iron Fist in Shang-Chi, it will redeem the character.
Is that a comic one, dude?
Yeah, I think they've definitely interacted in.
All day. They
Is
met
that-
up. They met up in the 70s.
Is that what Gonk's talking about? Was that a comic run? The Immortal Legend of the Immortal Iron Fist?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
I have to Google it.
I was about to say, you know your shit, Gonk. I didn't know that.
It sounds good.
They totally fucked Danny.
Agreed, Chris. They did.
Yeah.
Danny's not a bad character. He's not bad in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. He's not bad in the comics. Nobody's perfect. But the show put a bad taste in people's mouth for Iron Fist.
Come on.
Good name, Gonk. That was a good name.
Yeah, I'm stealing that, Gonk. I'm just kidding.
Gonk. That's a good name, man.
Okay. Sorry, we're getting sidetracked talking about Netflix series. But that's probably something for future podcasts. We'll probably go rewatch these and revisit it. So last thing on the docket before we sign off. What do you say? I can bring you Iron Fist #1 tomorrow if you want. Sure. I would love to see it and then post it on the LonelyFans podcast page. What to expect, including the references to the after credits scenes. We're gonna just kind of like cliff notes this, I guess, because like I said, we're gonna do another one of these podcasts because it's such a stacked movie that we're probably gonna do these in 2 parts. Or we touch on that. Back to Spider-Man in the homemade suit, moving eyes. Tony did not make that. Oh, that's right. In his homemade suit, I forgot his goggles. I think it could I forgot about that.
Yeah, Tony didn't make that. Spider Boy?
Spooder Boy?
Spooder Boy.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Okay.
Bug Kid.
Going forward, so we saw Eddie Brock with a symbiote. He leaves it behind. I'm thinking they could go the route of a new Eddie Brock. Some people are saying Flash Thompson can get it or somebody else as to be Venom. I'm thinking it's going to be it's totally a wild prediction. I'm thinking they're going to go She-Venom and Vulture's daughter is going to get it. And then, I mean, what other motive? Who would want to kill him besides, you know what I mean? A lot of other people, but somebody that has personal.
That'd be good. That'd be good to bring her back. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that at all. That'd be really good to bring her back.
Who?
Her name is Lisa.
Yeah, her name's Lisa. The actor's name is Laura Haria or something. But yeah, she's really good. So that'd be a great excuse to bring her back, and then be She-Venom.
Gonk says, I was so mad they wasted that crossover. Now, hang on here, Gonk.
I'm going to agree with sorry.
Give the symbiote to Danny Rojas. They bring him in to put him out. And that's to most people, including me, the Venom. Well, sorry, I don't mean to be taking up all this time, but so I think I have a prediction. I think that Morbius and Venom are going to take place in Andrew Garfield's universe.
Ooh.
And I think it's setting it up for that. So that way, like, what is the word? Canonically, they can still have Tom Holland have his own Venom, but also have, you know what I mean?
Because Tom Holland's Vulture's there.
Right. Because, I mean, I think what I really hope that's true. The rumors are they're going to do another Spider-Man movie with Tobey and Andrew. I don't know how much, validity is to that. But if they would, this movie, I guess, establishes, hey, guys, this is a different Spider-Man universe. So if we made a movie of that, we know you're smart enough to know it has nothing to do with the MCU. So I think because I think in Morbius there's like a poster of a different Spider-Man. It's not it's not Tobey Maguire.
It's not,
Tom Holland.
and it's not Tom Holland. You're right. It did look more like either Tobey Maguire's or Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, it'll be Ned who gets it. Ooh.
Right.
Well, the Guardians are on Earth. Flash Venom goes with the Guardians comics. Oh, that's right. Because
Flash Thompson. Flash Thompson. Okay. Flash gets it way later, where the government already had it and gave it to him. Yeah.
Okay, sorry to go off topic. That's my thoughts on going forward. We can talk about in the Multiverse of Madness later, but you wanted to mention about the wasted cameo of Venom.
Yes. But I agree, like all the stuff that you said, Pack Photos, I'm okay with them doing that. That's fine. That all actually sounds like really good ideas. Mm-hmm. I was just kind of like annoyed that they did the after credit scene in Venom, Let There Be Carnage, just to do this after credit scene, and it seemed like kind of a waste. My suggestion was they shouldn't have done that after credit scene to begin with at all. Or if that was the only time like Tom Hardy was going to be in that MC universe, then really they should have just brought him in the movie. Because you mentioned earlier you wanted to see them bring Topher Grace Venom. I didn't want to get off topic because I want to wait till we actually talked about this, and I would say Topher Grace, bring in Tom Hardy Venom. Clearly he made it into that universe. He was put in there, so they should have just brought him in, and then he could have left and left the symbiote behind or something like that. Honestly, yeah, just kill Sandman. Clearly, they weren't utilizing Sandman and Lizard. Kill them off, bring in Venom, and see what comes from there. Like that would have been better,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my take on the after credit scene.
So it was the Tobey Maguire poster.
Interesting.
And Morbius, cool.
What they really need to do is make a Spider-Gwen. Well, we have it in
Spider-Verse.
Technically.
Into the Spider-Verse.
So what are your thoughts, fun guy, in the future going forward? Do you think they wasted time? I think really Albie's problem is he's like, I sat through 2 of these crap movies just to see him interact with Spider-Man now.
One crap movie.
That's why.
Two was
not one crap.
better.
Okay, one mediocre movie. One movie.
Yeah.
Mediocre.
One mediocre, one a little bit better than mediocre, but still mediocre. Yes. So remember, Sony is in here to go, thanks, Feige and team, but we got the right, so we're still going to make money. They're creating their own Spider-Verse around the villains. I'm ready for Kraven the Hunter. Morbius is going to work. It's not going to be bad. But Kraven the Hunter, I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna like Morbius. Probably gonna love it. But Kraven the Hunter is gonna be very interesting. As a Sony verse, villain verse.
Because what's his face? The dude that played Quicksilver is supposed to be Kraven the Hunter, right?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Wasn't
right.
he?
He's supposed to be Kraven?
You're right. Because I remember I wasn't like enraged or anything. I was more like going back to the thought process. So I guess these talent agencies.
Even more reason to believe that they're going to do a Spider-Man movie without it being connected to the MCU.
You're right.
And maybe that was Sony's plan all along. It's like all right,
it was.
We want to do Spider-Man movies again that have nothing to do with MCU. So here's our version.
Yeah,
and that was the point.
No.
That's how the whole forgetting. They gave us one more day, except Sony and Disney version. That's why the memory right for Ultra Universes.
Yeah,
I love that
they did. You know they did.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, this is just like a fun, or it's like a one more day. Cool.
Ask the Josh, the Charlie Sheen.
Says then Doctor Strange spell bring everyone that knew Peter Parker. So why did Venom, Tom Hardy go into the MCU?
Yeah,
correct.
I agree with that. That was like, okay, what was the point of all that?
Well, that means that the symbiotes did know. Across the 80 billion light year multiverse, the symbiotes knew.
So that's the thing. So I think I know we want to see Tom Hardy's in there, but I think the objective was that the symbiotes knew who Spider-Man was. That's why they left the trace.
That's why it yanked them.
Sure.
Yep. Supposedly, that's the only reason we have.
I'm open to that, especially when like all the ideas you said, Pack Photos, like, okay, that.
Hopefully they'll do. Kraven the Hunter will be based upon hunting Venom, not Spider-Man. Ooh. Ooh,
happened in the
that'd be
animated
fun.
series? Was that what happened? No. The animated
No.
series is under the regular Spider-Man, I think.
Now that Tom Holland has the regular suit,
Yeah,
the original comic suit,
and it could be connected.
wouldn't say the Tom Holland. Yeah, the other Spider-Man will be connected because remember that suit was Toby's suit in the Morbius movie, at least as far as I know. It looked
Or it's
like
another
it.
misdirection. And it's throwing us off.
It could be misdirection, and Oscorp does
Yeah.
exist in the Morbius film, and so does Vulture from MCU.
Yeah, but then
Yeah,
that's
that's confusing. Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe Morbius went in there and got yoinked back to his universe, or the universes combined.
That's
We'll find out.
Oh wait, that comes out next month. Sweet, we'll figure it out next month.
We're gonna figure it out real soon because there's some questions got to be answered.
And having said that, this is where we're going to sign off. I do want to thank Albie for sticking with the theme of blue and red in the Spider-Man outfit. Didn't think we'd have
I don't have a Spider-Man shirt, so it's the best I can do.
Close enough.
Spider-Man
Close enough.
3. And I like the Spider-Man pop. Yeah, see it?
Yeah. See, we match. This is great. I didn't make this myself, but this is
Pretty
good.
Tom
I'm just doing this.
Movie, it could be event. Ooh, Secret Wars. That's right. I forgot. Them getting this.
They could do that. They could do that. I don't know if they're going to do that, but they could do that.
That's nice.
Because it's coming, right? It's coming, my boys.
It's a Funko Pop. I don't have a lot of Funko Pops. I especially don't keep a lot of Funko Pops in boxes, but this one I did.
Yeah. And since we're talking about Funko Pops, also be sure to check out our friend Ubes twitching tonight at twitch.tv/Ubes.
Because we're about to sign off, so check out Ubes.
There you go. And one more, let's see, he said. So like the comics, he could get the symbiote. Yeah, he could. And I said one more, the Morbius Oscorp Tower was the one from the Amazing Spider-Man universe. See, this is why now they're going to make us want to watch the movie so we understand what the hell's going on. He said, oh, God, I hope that's towards our thoughts on Morbius. Now we're going to sign off. I do want to thank you, Young, you, and Chris for participating. You've been a loyalist.
We love it.
We're going to sign off. Next week, we're going to figure out if we're going to continue this or we're going to talk about Hawkeye, depending on how that ends. My prediction, there's going to be no Spider-Man cameos.
There's not. They've already had the Kingpin. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it on live I'm wrong. But I don't think there's going to be a Spider-Man cameo.
When it comes to cameos, we got to keep it neutral, folks.
And I'm going to predict Hawkeye's going to die. I don't know. I don't know how many more.
Echo gets her own show, but that's not a prediction.
We'll see. Will he make it
maybe next Sunday?
Family for Christmas. Like always, y'all, thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Carson Daly. Also, be sure to check out our friend's debut on Twitch tonight, twitch.tv/Ubes.
Yes.
I'm your host, Carson Daly.
Please check that out.
One guy and Albie, thank you for joining us. Peace. Oh, what are we doing? The thumbnail? I guess, what do I do the webs and you'll do that?
Sure.